Right, so it's still the 17th of March. I've had to go for a walk for several reasons. I don't know who's actually, or what that's causing the burning, but there's that. But in general, I feel under the weather, not feeling great. So I had to go out for a second time. Obviously, I had a 2-hour sleep earlier, but that's because I was up 6:45 a.m. and already completed this morning's tasks of going to the pharmacy and taking that picture I wanted to take a picture of. It's still not great, but it's acceptable. There's a whole load of setups as well going out this time, that is. Obviously the others are mentioned, so let's go through it, shall we? Right, so there's some rough people in my direction, really nasty type, but on this occasion there was no threats, and there's more of a different type of nasty type than the people that mistake me as Savannah. So rather than the bearded type, it's more like the hard-style raver type, or the type that take their pit bull terriers out or whatever. After that, there was bikes and loud bikes trying to erections. The traffic flow's very heavy, loads of drain covers hit over. Initially, the start of this part of the walk, before I started pushing record, on the bridge, just over the bridge, there's a few colliding vehicles and heavy traffic flow. Yeah, so I'm not feeling very good at all. I walked the rest of that road. I'd say there's about 100 cars in total, so not too bad. I've known it a lot worse, but obviously the path's giving away, so I have to take the road now. For quite a lot of the way, in fact, before I can get over and climb into that woodland part, before I go to the main route I take to Barrack. So I've put a jumper on this evening because last night I just had a t-shirt and coat and I was very, very cold. And this evening I've got a jumper on and it still feels cold, believe it or not. I'm sweating at the moment. I'm actually sweating but cold at the same time, so that's where I've done a bit of a progressive walk. So underneath my tongue you've got that funny feeling. I've got this irritating feeling in your chest, so obviously it's like the sort of feeling where you've had flu symptoms or chest infection and it wants to cause like it's like a how do I word it? Right, to word it, I'd probably say it's like you cut your lungs and your lungs feel very cold, and it gives that uncomfortable sort of irritating feeling. So yeah, it's like that at the moment. Or when you're out of breath and you've jogged and you haven't jogged for a long time, you get that funny feeling in the chest and that sort of unusual pain type, whatever you want to call it, under the tongue, which is a horrible sort of feeling, that sort of thing. So I've got that at the moment. Right, so this burning problem, if you were to look at the scoreboard of how bad the burning was 2 months ago, the burning's right across me. I've been out just over half an hour and it feels like the worstest of the worst 2 months ago, where I've been sitting there putting up with the burning before I have to go out to get fresh air to feel healthy. The burning's a lot worse now. I say it's eliminated a little bit this evening or today, but I don't know so much because I've come out and I've noticed that the intensity's still there and it's as bad as what it was yesterday. So maybe it's where I'm just forcing myself to stay there and the pushing the burning on. But the whole idea of this walk is because I'm feeling very ill. I'm feeling under the weather. So I don't know whether this is partly because of my chest infection. Well, I don't know if it's a chest infection or a flu. I haven't got a clue. But I've had flu symptoms. But it's only a month before I went back down to my mum's. Before I went down there just over 2 weeks ago that I had similar symptoms then, flu type symptoms, so it's coming back. If it is, and I got the runs as well, seem to be getting that problem. Anyway, I don't want to go into a long story about how I'm feeling, but the burning's mixed with it, and while you got the mixture of flu, it's making it difficult to know exactly which part's caused by the burning and what's caused by the flu. And just to remind you, the roundabout up here is where they suddenly timed all the traffic to occur all in one go, and all slyly rigged up around me yesterday in both directions. Either side of that roundabout is dead quiet, and there's hardly any traffic there at the moment. So just to remind you what I'm doing exactly the same as yesterday at a slightly earlier time, not by much. Grey, red sectoral timed, hitting that roundabout, and now they're doing what, there we are, come towards the roundabout and they step up all timed as soon as I get there. There we are, one after the other. Sneaky little bastards they are. And it's also in a black and blue sort of pattern. So, almost there. The road I'm going down next, there can be no cars for a whole hour, and there's a car coming out already. I'm not sure how it's going to go. There we are, all suddenly increases. And I'm not going to cross before I get hit. And the reason I'm crossing is because I'm not in the mood to wait for all that traffic. Because the government, or the Creator God, has organised and mapped out the traffic flow to cause hindrance and trouble. And it's going to be persistent and it won't stop. Right, so I'm going to just cross the roundabout, and what's going to happen now, like yesterday, is going to go completely dead quiet. You might get one or two, maybe three or four. There we are. That roundabout's gone dead quiet. Always, it's like that all the time. They time it, if they could do it, they time an obstacle or a setup to occur out of every single house. There we are. The roundabout's dead. Right, obviously I'm a little bit far from the roundabout now, so you're not going to pick up any noise from the roundabout. But that noise you can hear there is the dual carriageway or the motorway or whatever it is that runs down the other side down there. And that's just car up on car up on car. So that's separate to the roundabout that I just crossed. Right, now I'm in a sort of quiet area. I might as well discuss the phone call I had earlier from Holly Court. So it's a bit more promising than what it was before I stayed at my mum's. But the main person that I see, Georgia, that wants me in psychiatric care with the doctor, she's on leave. So I had this new one phone me up because I left some messages because I'm suffering from this burning problem. It's making me very ill, causing very severe health issues. And we had a quick discussion. So she's going to meet me in a couple of days, and we're going to discuss this issue. And she asked how you're getting on home. Said, are you on Home Finder and all the rest of it? And I said, yeah. Well, she was looking at the data that tells her this and that. And she says, you're on gold banding. That's right at the top. You know, apart from those on emergency banding. and she said you should be if you've been on there like a year and a half or more, she said you should be getting offered something, but that's not the case. I keep being rejected. I've just been rejected, not the week just gone, but the week before I was rejected for bidding on a place which is just 2 apartments away from where my dad lives, and it's a cheaper end of the bracket of rent, and obviously it's not obviously for people that are disabled is who they look at first, but the previous people that were in there weren't disabled people. They were a bit over middle age, about 50, 60. Serious types, obviously. But the people before that, if you go back a few years, were a young couple, rough people. And I think they got kicked out because of behaviour disorders. They weren't disabled at all, so but I sort of, like I said, I went to bid on it, but I was rejected by the council, which I also mentioned to Holly Court, because they're not aware of it, when they phone me. So I put something last night on Facebook explaining the type of pain that I'm getting, anything from sore throat pain to crushing head pain, and the feeling like cat claw scratch mark pains right across the whole of your head in particular, and your head feels raw as anything, and I don't know what's causing it. It's like a really sore, it's like when you grazed yourself when you fall over, mixed with burning, but it's like a sour. It has something to the burning. It's not like putting your face near a bonfire. You don't get that sour feeling or the burning. This is like a different type of burning. This is like basically what I just mentioned, cat claw scratch mark burns right across your face, in your ears, out of your ears, across your legs. You've got pins and needles in the legs and the feet. You feel like jelly, you feel like you're going to collapse. It affects your bowels. I've been getting the runs, persistently getting the runs since I've been back. So yeah, that's not helpful, because I just been getting the runs persistently, and I don't know what it is. I don't know who's causing it or what's causing it. I have my suspicions, but I can't verify that, and I don't want to fall out with a neighbour that gets on okay with me. And I've already had an argument with him going back when this increased, before I went down to Mum's. But since I've come back, I feel a lot more worse, and the feeling that I'm getting from this is making me really ill. The bit burning's very, very intense. So obviously, I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing at the moment, whether I'm going to be staying somewhere else temporarily, or I don't want to have to go into hospital, but the thing is that burning is extreme. I mean, it's making me ill. So I'm trying to sort of see if I can stay down Dad's or whatever, because it's too bad. I mean, I've got to stay there for another, until next week, because obviously I've got meetings. But those meetings are good meetings, because Holly Court, this person that I spoke to today, said she's going to see what she can do to chase up the housing, or find out why I'm not being offered any properties that I bid on to move into, because initially when I moved there I was only supposed to stay there 12 months, and then they did a bit of a crafty, unfortunately. They upped it to 2 years, just as I moved in there. They signed a piece of paper. I said, can you sign a piece of paper to say that it's only 2 years and that's the limit, which they did, and I have that paper now, and I've actually got a photo of that paper, but it's been near enough 4 years So September this year, it's 4 years I've been there, and I have to admit I've hated it since day one. However, I have enjoyed the convenience of going to my mum's on the bus, and there's been some nice days out where I've taken pictures on the rare cloud cover, and I've enjoyed the walks at Stoke Subhampton to Norton Subhampton in the woodlands near Ham Hill, and you know, things like that. However, the overall issues, I wish I never moved from Burnham-on-Sea, because my life feels a lot more down. But the problem is I can't go back to Burnham-on-Sea because there's too many people that are mistaking me as this person who's named Sven, and they got me down as a rapist. I've already put this documentary on YouTube, but I had over 1,000 threats in the 8 to 9 days that I was camping, pissing about, apart from going back to my place for one night and then camping again. But this wasn't due to the burning problem. This was because of the heat wave of that specific year. And then obviously, walking back, let's just give you an example. 100 threats or remarks, and some really nasty, in Asda supermarket in just 20 minutes while waiting for an appointment that I had to attend in that time period, because I also had an appointment, not just a heat wave, so it came together, the heat wave and the appointment. And also I had to move my tent many times as I was being threatened to be knifed down when I was camping in Barrow Sand Dunes, which is near enough where I used to camp before I moved to Yeovil. I managed a couple of months doing that with no problems at all. The event threat was there and people were giving me shit, but it was a lot worse. Just 2 nights of being in that area would be the equivalent to the whole 2 months when I was living there. So, and also Kingscliff. Let's get to the last night, shall we? Right, so it's time to go back to Yeovil. Every single dog walker, every single car that passed on the road to Kingscliff at North Peverton, I had threats, an evil look, a car revved nastily, or people shouting as they pass, and dog walkers fucking saying that I'm a sicko and all the rest of it, of every single person leaving the woodland, of about 50 incidents. Get to the houses area, people in the top window, youth type people in private houses, and the council area when I went down the back to go, well, I guess it's council. Threat upon threat, you're Sven, you're being shot dead, you're being knifed, I've smashed cunt out, sexual grounds, and starting digging like that and digging like that. Get to the bus stop, the teenage girls, or were they possibly adults? In foreign countries they'd be adults, and back in the 1990s those teenagers that were saying I'm sick, you're fucking sick and all the rest of it, would have been in sexual relationships with people my age or older. But obviously we're in a different time, so they tell you you're sick, and they would have been exactly the same age or roughly the same age as people that looked like that in the 90s, but it would have been a totally different scenario back in those days. They like men, you see, back in those days, but unfortunately I was the odd one out. I never knew many people, I was too scared to involve with people. People were sort of, it was different, people were rougher back then, more nasty. And I didn't want to take the risk, and my mind didn't develop. I didn't have that hard, you know, if someone said someone's going to knife you back in say 2003, I'd be shitting myself, I'd be worried, you know, just from that one threat. I'd be sort of, what do I do, because this is, you know, I'd be a bit paranoid over it. But over the years I've managed to understand how people work and how nasty people are, and it doesn't affect you too much when you get that sort of threat. You realise that your mind builds up the capability to understand and know or be prepared rather than being frightened. So it's a bit different these days. Anyway, there was a further 20 to 30 people shouting from cars that were passing on that road of North Peverton. In the 10 minutes I was waiting for the bus, via these teenagers who were telling me I was a sick bastard. So they would have been about 16 to 18, maybe a bit older than 18, but they were definitely over the age of... probably, well, it's hard to say. There's a few of them, so anything from 15 to about 18 or 19. But it wasn't younger than 15. And the others sort of were older than that. Anyway, there was a lot of setups as well, by the way. So like Black and Blue Cars, Wording on Vehicles, Somerset Waste Partnership. Setups to tell me to fuck people that raped me as a child. It was quite nasty. When I got on the bus, the people on the bus were starting on me on the bottom deck, photographing me, thinking I was Sven, saying they're going to fucking smash me up. It's about 6 people, something like that, having arguments. And then other people joining in. So I went to the top. It was nastier on the top bunk, so I went back down to the bottom. I was being threatened to be smashed out on that bus, so I was thinking, should I get off the bus? Instead of going into Taunton directly, I got off where Aldi's is, before you get into Taunton properly. And when I got off where Aldi's is, I walked to Aldi's, and I can't remember what the threats were initially. I don't know if there were any actually to start with, but in Aldi's I passed a couple of people. I think of as walking to Aldi's, a couple of threats, mild threats. I think there was about 6 threats in Aldi's. A police officer heard one of them, and you could tell that he heard it, but the problem is he obviously didn't arrest or anything like that, because he didn't know what it was about, but he heard it, and he sort of, you could see that he was there ready to he was wondering what was going on, hoping that something would break out for him to do something. So he had that sort of pose on him, you know, as if he's ready to sort out what's going to happen. But it didn't go into that, it just went into threats. So there was 6 threats. Walked out of Aldi's. Someone in the car park, I think. No, that's wrong. I'm thinking of another occasion. No, there was a car my way. A woman said something in the car, saying, "You're sick. We messed it up for you getting anyone sexual. You're now too old to have anyone sexual. That's what you fucking get, Sven, saying that, you fucking sick bastard." And then obviously someone in a bearded chap in the next car started shouting or something like that, I can't remember. Above the chip shop, people that were living there and in the window next to it were shouting to smash me out or kill me or shoot me or whatever, thinking I was Sven. A couple of people in cars made some threats, but firstly there was a few people that were walking past that made a few remarks and threats. A whole load of teenage youths at the older age, maybe young adults, who I've seen about 18ish, between 16, 18, that sort of age, made some threats and thinking I was Sven. Then obviously when I got on the bus to go back to Yeovil, even then there was several people on the back of the bus. I think it was one person having a conversation about a mixture of 3, where one photographed me and one was mostly talking about saying that I was Sven when I'm not. And then obviously when I got off at Yeovil bus station, I managed to get back to mine with just 1 threat, and that was the end of the camping trip. So that's just an example, that's just one day. The other days were pretty much more threats than that, but they were more sort of regular, like from in town, or you know, or like that. There was one evening when I was at King's Cliff, where the police and an ambulance were at the top because someone wanted to smash Sven to pieces, and the police stopped me, asking what I'm doing, camping, and I said because of the heat wave and also because of an appointment. They were okay with it because they said that I chose a place where you're away from children, you're away from people. They're saying, so as long as you don't get told to get off, they said we're okay with it. They said we don't really like people camping, being a police officer, you know, or whatever. But they said as long as you're causing no harm. I mean, you're out of the area, you know, away from people. You're not distracting anyone. You're close to houses, so that if there's any issues, you can contact someone like if you feel ill or whatever. You know, so they said, as far as they're concerned, they don't like it. They said, we're not over happy about it, but because of the situation, we're not bothered about it. And they just said, but what you have to do is, if you get told to get off, you have to do it. Otherwise then it would be an issue. So I said, that's no problem. Actually, the farmer was actually quite a pleasant person. I spoke to the farmer when he was spreading manure on the field the following day when I woke up, and he said, are you alright? He's sort of, do you want me to do the top end first to give you time to do that? And I said, I can get that down in a few seconds, don't you worry. And I just left it, and then obviously that was the end of the camping trip. So that was the only good thing in that morning, before all the threats that I mentioned like just now. Right, so I went to the Spar shop today. The average flow of traffic is your average flow of traffic for this time in the evening at the moment, actually. So you're about level. For setups and that sort of thing. Right, gas control I'm trying to eat. I mean catalytic converter, sorry. That's what they do, they time or cause as much mayhem as they can when I try eating. They're still within your regular amount of traffic flow, but it seems to be caused when I'm eating. Right, the trains are being hit over. There's been about 13 more cars. They're just hitting a bit over now. I find this unusual. There's an old lady that passed me, about 70, and she looked at me and she just burst out crying. And it's sort of like a sort of, oh no, sort of crying, and I couldn't make out what's going on, because it wasn't like she was scared of me or anything like that. It's like she looked at me and just ended up crying. So it's like yeah, like that. So I'm not quite sure why that happened. Right, so I'm on a path. Just a minute. Got the runs. Shit. Fucking hell. Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, I don't like having to be down a public track and having to take my fucking trousers down just to fucking let out wet. But what's happened is, since I come home, I've been experiencing, and I've been, since I've experienced this burning problem, what's happened is I've been getting the shits persistently every time I go to the toilet. There hasn't been a time where I've gone to a toilet where I haven't had the runs since I came back from holiday of visiting mum's. And there's two things I can put it down to: this burning problem that's causing burning, or the flu or chest infection or whatever it is I got. That's the only two things I can put it down to. Anyway, it's this path, but the field aside, because they had like an event going back to November, or it could have been a bit before that, October. It could have been October. I know I did a couple of months walking down there because of the burning problem last year, but that burning problem last year is, when it comes to that particular time period, is not as bad as the burning now. It's 3 times worse now. I'm doing all I can to contact the council. I've had to inform the police on Facebook. I've had to state the problems. I've had to get as much evidence as I can, like footage that's showing up on EMF and radiation detectors. But the problem is, when this burning occurs, not all devices that's being used, or what I'm suspicious of being used, is showing up on the EMF meter or radiation detector. So, but the burning's there. I've had to chuck away £500. Now, I'll tell you what this is. I bought some uranium blocks, which is like little crystals, specialised crystals, and obviously they're legal to have, so they're not actually illegal, but the proper uranium is actually illegal, and it comes under number U92, and you can buy these little uranium blocks from the internet or whatever. Well, it cost me £500 when I bought those 2 blocks, and I've had to chuck them away. So I did that a little while ago. So what's happened is, because the burning was so bad, I thought maybe it could be the radiation from the uranium blocks. This goes back to last year, by the way. I was speaking to family about this. I said it cost me £500, what do I do? Because you're not going to sell them, because nobody will pay that for them. And I thought to myself, like, they won't allow you to put them on eBay because the type of thing it is, and you know, I don't want to keep them at home. I mean, I don't want to do this or do that, so we came to an agreement saying it is a bit of a waste of money, you know, £500, but I chucked it away, and I thought if I chuck it away it would get rid of the burning. I thought, because there was several people that said it could be caused by that, but it turns out later on when I chucked them away that within a couple of weeks, because we went through like a 6-month period where the burning wasn't as bad, and that's sort of, I decided to chuck out the uranium blocks to see if it would go completely, and then unfortunately the burning still continued after that, so it wasn't caused by that. So I made a big mistake chucking that out, because £500 is a lot of money. But you know, we all make mistakes in life, and I've had many things where I made mistakes. I've left, you know, things where, you know, like leaving stuff outside accidentally, forgetting to put it in the back of the boot of the car, you know. I've had the sort of where I put my stuff in the shed and I've had it broken into, thousands and thousands of pounds. And this was, again, although the neighbours I didn't see the neighbours as, I don't think it was a neighbours at my old place that broke into that shed. It's just a suspicion, and the way they were acting on the day that I left, it was just not a suggestion of them doing it. So that's why I've never sort of said that the neighbours stole the 6 boxes and half a bag of clothes. So obviously it's thousands of pounds. We had M-discs, blank M-discs, USB sticks, CDs. It was basically there for the social worker to pick up when I moved to Thorn House. But I made a big mistake camping that night, so someone must have seen me do it. But what I will say is one of the neighbours was actually out at the time I was putting it in there, because he left and there was nobody else, and then obviously all the other neighbours in that apartment would be over the other side and they wouldn't see the shed. So, well, you had Andrew, but he's not the sort of person that would have done that. So in actual fact, that Andrew looks very similar to Alan, who is the new neighbour, and I've spoken to him on quite a few occasions. He's one of the more calmer neighbours, sort of keeps himself to himself, and he goes to church as well. So, but come the end of days, nobody really sort of liked me as such. But it turned out when I left, it was unhappy though. It wasn't negative. I mean, there's lots of incidents where things have gone missing or whatever. The box I left at my old place at Bridgewater West Street, and obviously when I contacted the council to get my belongings, I said I didn't realise I left it there, and it's like month or so, 2 months or whatever since I moved out of there to move to Burnham-on-Sea, and I realised again, USB sticks, hard drives, fucking hell, you name it, and the most important box as well. I mean, I built up these, CDs because I could get hold of the CDs back in that time period of 2013, 2014. But the problem is, now everything gone up in price because it's all discontinued. But back in that time period, up until about the year 2014, 2015, people were suspecting that they could be reissued or repressed at a later time, and thinking that the originals aren't going to be worth much because it can be reissued again later on. But the problem is, it turns out that all the original recordings and the DATs, or the original master recordings when it comes to underground music, are gone. Even on some of the commercial jungle CDs of 1994. It's not just in the jungle genre. So it goes back to what I said on many different documentaries, especially in the year 2023 when I was documenting music. And I was saying, unless it's been in the charts, unless it's mainstream music, it's been in top 100 charts and is on the International Music Database that holds every track since 1952, if it hasn't been in the charts or in the 100 position, you've lost your music regardless. It's like the new age stuff, the dark classical. I'm not sure how it works with Halloween or soundtracks like The Omen, because they're television things, but there's a bit of a conspiracy on this, because you've got another record and it's called Intense, the Genesis Project EP, which has a track called Intense Time Space Continuum on it, which is on the Rugged Vinyl label, which I think is a sub-label of Good Looking Records, which is an old school jungle track. And then you've got Intense, the Paradox EP, which is the one that came out before it, which is the catalogue number Rugged 7, and it has a track called Intense Journey to the Unknown. And obviously the Genesis Project is under Rugged 9. That's the catalogue number for that one, or something like that. Anyway, those two tracks I just mentioned are on a film called The Cradle of Fear, which means they can't destroy those two tracks. So it's all over the place. That's what I mean. It's sort of hard to know whether they can destroy these tracks like Halloween or The Omen, or these soundtracks, or what. I'm not quite sure how it works, but we're talking very underground jungle tracks that have been included in these films. That's what I'm saying. It's very rare that they do that, but that Intense Time Space Continuum is one of the more deeper and more specialised tracks of 1994. And when it comes to Intense, the Journey to the Unknown, again, that's a very rare type of track. And then you got the Intense, the Genesis Project track itself, and they've released that on a big commercial drum and bass sessions on a jazz tip. And if you look at the cover of that, you can see it's one of those big commercial CDs. So fuck knows how it works, but it seems that even commercial stuff can be folded under. So I'm assuming eventually what they'd do is they'd get rid of all the underground stuff. And obviously Halloween, to be fair, is not exactly the most cheerful of music that people are going to buy anyway. But the thing is, well, let's look at the Super Nintendo Donkey Kong Country original soundtrack CDs. When they made the music for the computer game, and now they're trying to do digital remasters of them, which sounds slightly different because they no longer have the original recordings. So bugger knows how it works. So all the music, especially when it's that sort of deep sounding, low tone type tracks, they seem to want to do away with them. I think eventually what they're trying to do is fade out all electronica that's deep or whatever, regardless if it's a film track or whatever. But then again, they don't like the classical genre, and they're changing all that as well. When they redo these classical tracks, they're trying to make alterations so they sound different, and they're choosing these specific tracks that are really good to alter them. But again, it could be a way of getting people out of that sort of music. So I think basically when it comes to music, eventually you're only going to be able to get what's been in the top 100 position charts in the UK, USA or other countries, and it's held on the International Music Database. I've just had to flee the area because someone's fired a gunshot and it very nearly hit me. So it's gone, I could hear it flying through the trees, so I heard the bang, and it's gone somewhere in that field. So it's landed there, and I don't know what sort of gun it is, but it's not a pellet gun. This had a more poke to it. It was more pokey, had more of a resistance to it. So at the moment I'm going to get in there, if I can, to get into a safe area. I'm going to hold my time here a minute because obviously I'm not too happy about this. So what happened is they shone a torch towards me while I was speaking in this digital audio recording device. I stopped the recording. I continued to walk down, and then a shot was fired at me, which sounded like it flew about 5 foot above my head, hit branches or broke off twigs, snapped them clean off, sort of sounded like, and it sounded like the bullet continued to go and fly somewhere in that field. Then obviously I decided to get out of the area quickly. I went in the field, and the people that shot that started shouting, or not necessarily shouting, but started speaking in stern accent, walking to the direction of the roundabout. This is rough crowds. There's more than one person, says 2, 3. I don't know how many people. I didn't see them. I just heard the gun and I saw the torch, and that's it. I mean, I could have had my life taken. The problem is, I wanted to phone the police, or I was thinking of phoning the police, but the problem is, it looks bad on my part, if I've got no evidence. And that's the problem, I've got no evidence. So he might be walking down there with a gun at the moment. By the time the police get there, that person has probably vanished. But the problem is, I don't know what these people look like because I didn't see them. I just saw the torch, and the gun came my way. The gunfire went my way. So, yeah, not very happy about this. And the other thing I wanted to mention is the accent of these people are the regular type accent where, you know, when people mistake me as someone and say, "Oh, fucking bosh him, I'll fucking do this, I'll fucking shoot him dead, he's a fucking child rapist, I'll bosh him, he's fucking, oh, fucking bastard, fucking do that sort of accent, your regular bearded type person accent. So it was that, but it was rough and it was argumental, and it wasn't very happy. I couldn't make out what was being said because obviously it's muffled, because I'm not right where they are. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Once again, it's a very cold night and I've got a jumper on. If it's not windy, you don't feel it. That's the thing. I think because the wind chill adds to it, I think that's what makes you feel cold, because I had it on Burnham Beach, but most years the temperature never really went to freezing as such, and it's like, if it did, there's more of a ground frost rather than an air frost sort of temperature, so it's biting in the air rather than, the feeling I'm getting at the moment is like biting. It's cold biting. I mean, I lit a fire yesterday, because I wanted to warm up, and I noticed that I was doing hardly nothing at all. I did only have a t-shirt on yesterday and a coat. Obviously I've got a jumper on. It's very rare I wear a jumper actually in the winter months, because I'm usually pretty used to the cold weather. But in recent times I noticed you're getting the wind, or the wind chill factor. So it's not like a very pleasant cold, it's more of a biting cold. And also you've got to take into account, I'm actually getting a lot older now, so I'm feeling the weather more than what I would have, say, 5 years ago or before. It's only in the last 4 years, well, basically since I moved to Yeovil, in fact, or hit the age of 40, that I've started to feel the cold more than I used to. So it's likely that age is connected to it as well, because when you get old, and they say it's around about the age of 40, 35 anyway, that you start feeling the cold more than people say in their 20s or teens, or you know, when they're a child. So you've got that to think about as well. Right, so I'm doing my walk. Sorry about the cough. Flu or chest infection, there's nothing I can do about it. If it is a chest infection, it's one of those that keeps reoccurring. So it could be something as serious as cancer or something like that. I ain't got a bloody clue, but whatever it is, I'm getting very fucked off with it. And I won't be very fucking happy if it is cancer. So obviously I'm walking the route where I was initially going to walk, but I did have a thought of leaving it because I'm cold, time's moving on a little bit, but the problem is I'm not going to risk my life going in the other direction until it's clear. So I'm going in this direction, which is my initial plan anyway, so it doesn't make any difference. I'm not sure what the actual temperature is out here, but I stopped doing these walks in the evening going back to November, December of 2024 because of how cold it is. But I don't recall there being like a wind chill that's so biting as now. But it could be because I've been in warm places for 2 weeks, you know, with temperatures around 24 degrees or whatever. Or it could be because I'm starting to, you know, feel the cold more as I get older. I don't know. At the Spa shop I bought one of those little bottles just under £3. It's like a little shot or double shot, I'm not sure what it is. It could be I think it's one of those little tiny bottles of vodka. Now I bought that. I was going to treat myself to that tonight because I'm pissed off at the burning and I just feel like doing a bit of a walk before I go back. But whether I drink it, I'm not sure yet. I prefer to sort of stick with the spirits when I go on holiday and stuff like that, and I'd like to, it'd be a pleasure to sort of end the spirits from the holiday I just had, though it's not going to hurt to have that one. I mean, I wasn't smoking when I was on holiday. I've only smoked 9 roll-ups. 7 of those are without filter tips, which is a mixture of them yesterday and today. No, sorry, and the 2 today were with filter tips, sorry. And I'm not going to go into big amounts of smoking, but I do like to have occasionals. And the thing is, withdrawal symptoms, I don't want to upset, you know, the chest infection if it is a chest infection. However, at the moment things seem to be getting a bit worse than what they were a few days ago. But again, it could be partly connected to the energy weapons, if it is energy weapons that's causing the burning. I just don't have a clue what's going on. All I know that my health is deteriorating big time, and that burning only occurs at Thorn House. When I spoke to the new person that was contacting me, because she's a new worker there, she said it's only happening at Thorn House. So I was explaining that, and I said there haven't been any threats or anything like that. I mean, there probably has been a few threats here and there, but if you know, but the thing is it's pointless mentioning the threats if they're not, you know, if it's serious then obviously I mention it, but if it's just mouth, then I, you know, it's when it gets a bit more serious I mention it. So you know, but usually it's on. Hang on, we've got this bloody. This is what it's doing. Hang on a second. It's giving me the shits. It's either chest infection, flu, or whatever. The burning problem. No, in a bloody middle of a film. I mean, anyone can come. You know, I've had the runs quite simply since I've been back. I didn't have it. When I was at Blandford, waiting for the bus home from taking a trip to my mum's, I didn't have this. All this occurred at the same time the burning occurred when I got back, and I still got it now. I had it all day yesterday, and all afternoon, evening and night of the night before, which was the day I came back. At the same time, it could be part of the flu or chest infection, but at the same time, whatever this flu and chest infection was, or whatever it is, I had it when I was down my mum's. It started there, and I didn't get the shits there. That's what doesn't make sense. So it could be anything. But at the moment, I got the runs. I should have mentioned this to Holly Court. I really need to see a doctor about this, to be fair. Because I don't know what's causing it. But obviously, with a burning problem, they seem to be putting down to as schizophrenia. But the lady was a bit more listenable, sort of. This new person that phoned me up, because I left some messages, and she's taking Georgia's place while she's on leave for a while, and she seems to be a bit more she's listening to what I'm saying, and I said about the 2 weeks where the burning didn't occur at my mum's, and saying it does only happens there, doesn't it? And I said, yeah, and that's when we sort of spoke about Home Finder, and and she's going to see what she can do to get communicate, to get contact or contact housing, basically, which is part of the council. I'm not sure how she's going to do it. Like I said, I got a meeting to see her in a few days, and then obviously and it's going to be working from that. I just want to mention the subject of music again, which I mentioned earlier, and not being able to get the underground stuff because it's been folded under, or they've lost the original recordings, or it's not on the international database or anything like that. Well, it's not actually going to make any difference, because everybody has a second taste in music. So just supposing they like the old school jungle that's really underground, the deep stuff from 1993 or 1994, the rare groove stuff from that time period, or or the underground techno, or the deep techno, or the acid techno, or the instrumental techno from the acid techno scene that's really deep, but like I'll give you a track as the best way to describe it. Drax 2, Amphetamine, Mishjar Groovehead remixed. So that sort of techno, or you've got other technos like Jungle Buddha, Psalm 4 on Poetic Justice Recordings, which has been reissued on 7th Story Projects Recordings. And obviously you've got underground jungle tracks like Rev P 1994 on Impact Records, Pesce World of Music on Infrared Records, DJ Lee and Gwanj Too Deep on Legend Records, which is on Legendary Volume 3. Gwanj and Spinback The Execution, and there's actually been tracks that have been released on CD that are quite underground, which is known as Commercial Deep, or what I'm told is Commercial Deep. So look at Jungle Business Volume 1. You've got Coda Space Tech, which is on DJ Recordings, Orca Intellect on DJ Recordings, and obviously on Good Looking Rap Points in Time Volume 4 you've got Parallel World Contagious, which is another rare groove type of jungle track from 1994, which is produced by Andrew Ritchie's, which is the producer of that track. That's quite a bassy track, actually. It's quite an ambient track. These sorts of tracks, obviously, because they're not in the mainstream, they're known as alternative or underground. I mean, to say it's the same with all types of music. Every music genre, or most music genres, have like a subgenre or an area where they only release specific tracks for specific people that prefer the more underground sounding stuff. Now obviously eventually all that's going to end up going, because it's not mainstream. But it's not something to worry about, because there is alternative music in pop music that's there's really good music. And nobody can, when people get into music initially, most people, they listen to it from the pop scene rather than the rave scene or the alternative scene. So it comes from the pop scene anyway. So they're going to have to, so they've liked pop, or they like pop tracks, to be able to get into that sort of music. So, you think to yourself, you're not going to get your tracks anymore, or the underground tracks are gone, or whatever. Well, that's not the case, because there are alternative music genres that people like. So, for example, you could like some of the 60s music. You're never going to see that disappear because it's too commercial. And there's some really good tracks, You've got the Moody Blues, Nights in White Satin, if you prefer the deeper, moodier stuff. And then you've got the Beatles, She Loves You, yeah, if you like the happier stuff. And if you like a bit of stuff in between, you've got stuff like Helen Shapiro, Tell Me What He Said, or and then when you come to the 70s, you've got some easy listening tracks in the 70s. You've got some good tracks there, so you've got, I'll give you a few good tracks that you can get into if it's like, as alternatives, to underground music or specialised music or whatever. So you've got Brian and Michael, Matchstalk Men and Matchstalk Cats and Dogs, Peaches and Herb, Reunited, if you like it a bit lower, but chilled out and relaxing, Heatwave, Always and Forever, Brotherhood of Man, Angelo, what else do we have? Baccarat, I think it's Yes Sir I Can Boogie, Donna Summer, I Feel Love, The 3 Degrees, The Runner. I mean 70s, let's look at ABBA Gold, their CD ABBA Gold, that's a commercial CD, that's never going to go down the drain. I mean, people that like the soulful music get commercial music or listen to that, and people do like that, and I know people that are mostly into rave, hardstyle, can rearrange their taste buds if they want to. And if you like it a bit more soulful or a bit more sad, you've got stuff like the Carpenter's Gold. I mean, that's another classic album that people like. So, and then obviously if you're into a bit more sort of happier sounds, but still on that deep chord, I mean, you got, Queen Greatest Hits. That's a very big, album, and there's some good tracks on there. So, and even in the 80s, you've got really good tracks. Now that's what I call Music One. They've just reissued on CD. Pretty much every single track on now, that's what I call Music One, the 1983 reissue, but on CD. 3/4, if not more, are really good tracks that people like. So, it's not difficult for people that can't, for those that like to stick into the underground scene, there are alternatives. So, if you do ever lose your music, or the underground scene goes completely, or you can't get your music, you have what I've just said. You've got ABBA, but you've also got other tracks. It's not just ABBA. There's millions of tracks. You just have to type. I mean, a lot of these tracks are on the International Music Database. I mean, a lot of these people are into rock and all that. A lot of that's alternative. You've got hip hop like Eminem, but again, it's one of those tricky genres. It's like is around at the moment, but say 10 years from now, is going to end up in the situation like the old school rave and jungle and techno and stuff like that, where they're going to do away with it because it's not a good suggestion. Maybe, I don't know. But then again, Eminem's had some tracks that hit the charts, so it's a difficult one. It's hard to know. So, but always best to stick with music you can get again. So if you get a break in, or you lose your music, or the USB sticks break, or the M discs break, or whatever, because those M discs are not as good as they're made out to be, but they are reliable. But the thing is, if you do put your stuff on a M disc, I think they're discontinued now, so you can't do that, but and most laptops or PCs don't even have a disk drive anymore. So that's not good news, but an M-Disk is okay. And obviously I don't like the way they say they're going to last for 1,000 years, because the plastic is likely to shatter, break apart by that time. So if you look at plastic things you have in a greenhouse, after about 10 years you go to pick up a box made out of plastic, it just crumble in your hands. So you've got to take that into account as well. And if you have a cassette in there, it's old. I mean, I haven't ever picked up a cassette in a greenhouse, but it's likely to just crumble, or a CD will just crumble. So I don't believe that they'll last for that period of time. But if they're kept indoors, they will last quite a while. They're definitely better than a DVD and a Blu-ray, because a Blu-ray they can mess up quite easy, just like a DVD. But with an M-Disc, because the material, the rock layer, it doesn't have any expansion or breaking type. It has like a bit of a hold. It's not like another material that they use for alternative discs, where it could cross over, or it can mess up, or an error could occur, or the material could break apart, or whatever. With the rock layer, the M-Disc, it will stay in place. That's the good thing about the M-Disc. They should bring them back, to be fair, for important documentation, music or whatever. But because we're in a time where everything's electronic now, eventually you're not going to be able to use hard drives or USB sticks either. And on some of the very latest laptops, you don't even have ports. It's all done by Bluetooth, which is not good, because some people prefer to store their stuff on devices that they can keep themselves. I have two favourites myself. That's the SSD, even though I don't have an SSD, by the way, and the M-Disc. But I do like CDs as well, although CDs might not last as long as an M-Disc. Because I've used CDs all my life, I tend to like CDs quite a bit, recording music on the blank CDs or whatever. So that's one of my favourite discs as well. DVDs, I have recorded stuff on DVDs, but they seem to break after about 6 months, or they start to deteriorate, or I've had problems. I've never had an M-Disc mess up, and it's extremely rare that I've had a CD mess up. I think less than 5 CDs that have messed up. That's it, I think. That's from digital errors, not scratches or accidentally breaking them, or computer faults where it recorded on them wrong or whatever. I'm talking digital fault wrong, digital faults. So yeah. So going back to what I just said, it's always best to stick with the music you can get again. And when it comes to underground music, that's not very friendly. So, but you've got other choices. I just mentioned them, so it's better than no music at all. And obviously, if you make your own music, then obviously that's like even more risk, because people like to make their own music, but in most cases, when it comes to making your own music, that's one of the easiest types of music you could lose. So be careful if you do that, or make sure you have backed up copies if you do that. I mean, I used online storage back in 2023, I think it is, but I was putting my life story pack on there, came up with a CIA or FBI warning, and saying they're not happy with the content that you're saving on there, and they closed my account, so I had to go to the bank to stop the payments, and I was not very happy. And I thought to myself, Well, that's how reliable online storage is. You pay for it, and if they don't like it, they'll delete your data, and they won't give you any chances. They'll just close your account. And so just assuming there was no hard drives or USB sticks, and they did away with all discs or CDs or Blu-rays or M-discs or whatever, and you save all your stuff online. Well, that's good, but in my case, in 2023, they closed my account without any warning, with that warning that came up that I told you. So, obviously, in my lifetime, you'll still be able to get external hard drives or SSD, USB sticks, and assuming you get an external disk drive, to some extent you should be able to still use discs in my lifetime. But anything past that, you're going to have to put all your stuff online. And if they decide to close it down with a FBI warning or whatever, that's not good at all. But I won't be around when we reach the years when all this occurs. But then again, just supposing I am around and this occurs, it's not looking good, but I would just have to face the fact. But I will be very old, because this is not going to happen overnight. This is going to take quite a couple of decades before all this takes place, you know. It could be sooner, but let's hope it isn't. Right, the walk's ended up a little bit further than anticipated, so I've turned around to go back. Everything should be clear now from that incident earlier on. I did buy a little tiny bottle of vodka, but whether I drink that yet, I do not know. If I can get back to the graveyard by 9 o'clock, I should just probably have my beer and then walk back. Where I've changed my drinking time, it does mean that I have to face more people in the town when I go back. However, there's a safer time to go back than in the early hours, where there's less people and where people can start on you, knowing there's no other people about. In most cases, people are pretty much calmer these days because you've got CCTV everywhere. But I prefer to do away with the aggro. I'd just like to mention something else. This flu, chest infection, or whatever it is, I am struggling to breathe once again. White sexual car time, and they're going to stop me crossing. Fuck's sake. And there's a grey car to tell me that you're grey. I think it's pretty obvious that I'm going to have grey hair at 43, coming up 44 years of age. So, but what they're doing is they've been rubbing this in for many years. They've been telling me that I've been basically taking the piss out of me being sexually abused as a child, telling me I'm too old to have sex with a sexual person, and to tell me that you should have kicked out Jesus Christ out of your belly while being sexually abused as a child, and because you haven't done that, what they mean is, when I was sexually abused as a child, Jesus was getting his feelings out on me, trying to force me to enjoy sex and get the feelings out my tummy. Where the government or the Creator God or whoever's setting up this organised force are making the suggestion with setups that because your insides didn't detach from your body while you were sexually abused as a child, you're being ripped to pieces forever and ever, because you haven't opened a doorway to heaven, because they've been taking the piss out of me, thinking that I'm a twat, saying that your name's just in time and that you're the doorway to heaven, basically, and starting shit stirring with stuff like that. This isn't recent, this goes back 10 plus years ago, even when I was living at Bridgewater, when they're pissing about with these sorts of setups or suggestions. So and when it comes to suggestions of telling me to fuck people that raped me as a child, it's never been as suggestive as it back then as it is today. It was extremely rare, if at all hardly. But they were applying other suggestions that are similar, which really fucking pissed me off back in that time period. And that's sort of gone on right through until the last year, which was the year before. We had that 1 year before the lockdown where all these setups were collapsing and claiming that I've paid the price for this, paid the price for that, including things I've never done. And just say, and the things started to change. I started to walk into friendlier people. Setups were died down, you know. I started to pick up a bit. I felt a bit better. I was enjoying days out, you know. There was times where there were people getting nasty, yeah. But the overall suggestion or the overall setups just, you know, I was walking into, well, let's put it this way, I was shocked because I was even walking into people that were only teenagers in sexual relationships with people in their 30s. People in their early 20s with people older, well, as old as I am now, near enough. Or possibly older, in fact. And I had teenage girls, about 18, move their arm across me while going and smiling as they're passing me. But this only happened rare, mind, even in that year. And before anything like sexual relationships took place or friendships took place or getting to know new people or anything like that, bang goes a lockdown, and then all this force is organised nasty against me. However, I did walk into this Gemma Ferguson on a regular basis during the lockdown, but they chose the wrong person because Gemma doesn't like me and she's racist against my age, and she thinks that you're a sicko if there's more than 2 or 3 years difference in age, even though she's the same age gap as when, you know, when my family were together. But some people don't take it so nice, and she made that clear on a letter I left on that I put in the YMCA charity shop in Burnham-on-Sea. There's obviously, it's a sealed letter, so it's a private letter, but she said how sad I am for asking a 30 or 31-year-old woman if she's single and saying how sad can you get, how fucking sad are you, fucking you got to prey on a little fucking 30-year-old woman or something like that. She said, they said, you just landed your fucking life in jeopardy. The friends I have that are against you, you've just stepped right in it, you're going to lose your fucking life, you sick bastard, you. And then she said bye on the phone when I left my number, and then obviously, as I mentioned on the video earlier today, on the previous video, it's on YouTube, it mentions that possibility of that person who went to attack me, who wanted me smashed to pieces and knifed and thrown on the railway track at Highbridge railway station back in Bridgewater, where I had a lucky escape. There's no way I could have fight that person, you see, because that person's 4 times my build. They're probably about 10 times stronger than I am. But I'm not built to be a reptilian, hard, hybrid man. I mean, this person might not be a hybrid, but that's the sort of build he is. And obviously, initially that Gemma threatened to phone the police up on me from that letter I left, but she said she doesn't even fucking know me, which is strange because she's spoken to me a few times on the beach, and back in the days when I was hiding CD packs in the sand dunes with music data in case I got a break-in, she said, don't fall down there, do you, will you? And I said, I'm digging for bait, my ass. Also, she said, I can't remember, it was something funny. And I sort of laughed, and we laughed, but, you know, it doesn't work like that. But then again, there was times where I was sort of, Sven, Liam, you know, there's some dodgy times. In the first lockdown, it's fine. But the problem is, that communication wasn't there, and I don't even know 100% if she's single, that's the problem. So when I left that letter, I did actually show one of the staff workers at supported housing what was on the letter, because I wrote out an identical letter before I put the you know, because I did two. I did one to keep so that I can remember what I read, and one that I put there. And one of the staff workers, I won't say this person's name because I don't want to, you know, cause any offence or problems, but this person agreed that there's nothing wrong with what I'm writing there. They're saying, sort of assuming that you really do know her, or you haven't actually spoken to her on the beach, or what you're saying, then give it a try, you know. There's no harm in that. There's nothing offensive on it. There's nothing, you know, but obviously some people are a bit more sinister minded, and she took it the wrong way, so that was the end of that. And then obviously when I did that camping trip that I mentioned earlier on this recording, I avoided that specific shop to avoid any trouble. And like I say, I can't guarantee she's in a relationship or anything like that. However, her Facebook says she's single. I did see another person that was walking the beach as well, that looked very similar to Gemma, but appears to be slightly younger, but with a rougher skin appearance. I'm not sure what her name is, but we could even have the same name, I don't know, but yeah, she wasn't so long in looking in the face, so she appeared to be a bit younger than Gemma, but unfortunately she's a single mother of 3, and I saw her on the bus after the lockdown when she got on the bus, and I remembered her face. So you'd see, sometimes you see Gemma started to, this was in the second part of the lockdown, not the first part, so Gemma started wearing like or what was it, I can't remember if it was a baseball cap or grey hat or whatever, and started walking a bit more sinister up and down the beach than in the initial first lockdown, and it was the second lockdown when all the setups increased as well. And the reason I was out on the beach all the time is because I was getting eye problems from energy weapons at my place at Burnham-on-Sea, which started a few months before that Michael Jackson prostitute Jeanette robbed me of £800. Well, she wasn't a prostitute actually. She actually posed on Viva. She said she was actually single, a single woman. She said she was only 18, but I don't believe that. She looked to me like she was about 4 years older, so she's about the age of 22, and she's quite negative looking. She wasn't pretty. She had a very similar appearance to Catalin, who works at supported housing, though slightly more negative looking in the face, and the skin type wasn't as smooth. It was more sort of negative. Pretty well, I didn't really want to answer the door when I saw her, but I couldn't see properly, and I thought, I can't see through the keyhole. She saw me looking through the keyhole. I thought, I'll open the door, and that's, you know, but when I saw the appearance of her, I wasn't actually going to open the door, and again it just went into a scam. Nothing I could do about it. She did about 6 moves on me, filmed it, and that's the end of it. That was it. And I mean, literally, that's about it, 6 moves. And it's done deliberately to scam me. So, she was looking for a man from the age of 18 to 40 when she came to mind to rob me, basically. And obviously, as I said earlier in the recording I did earlier, that was the end of the gunshot blanks fired from the neighbour, or one of the neighbours, when they found out about this. And then obviously I had that conversation in the corridor where they said that they're using Justin. They know he's got autism, they know that he's an easy target, and that's why, and they think it's Dan or Oliver that caused it. But this person who went to attack me, I said his name was Scott, but I don't have a clue. But whatever it is, it might not even be connected to that, but that's just one possible theory. And obviously, quite literally from that specific neighbour, or that neighbour, that because things weren't great actually, to be fair, from that neighbour. Sort of a lot of gun sounds and whatever, and you know, this and that or whatever. But sort of after that person that mugged me, everything went calm with that specific neighbour. right through until I left. So there's like a couple of years or whatever. Yeah, well, yeah, a couple of years and no problems at all. All the new stuff was, you know, from the 2 other new neighbours, but one of the neighbours was already there, and also the eye problem from the energy weapon started 3 months before the prostitute, or whatever you want to call it. I call it a prostitute. The single lady that figured up, you know what I call Michael Jackson prostitute. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Right, I just want to mention something. I changed the password on one of my YouTube accounts last night because I wanted to update everything, but I wasn't thinking straight because of the burning problem. And at the time I was doing that, I was actually moaning about the burning problem, and the video that I actually put on there was explaining the burning problem, the possibility of energy weapons, with the details of the types of symptoms I'm getting in the comments box of that YouTube video. So I was uploading that specific video last night, and I thought, now I'm handy to write a few things down. I thought I'd change the passwords and get everything all sorted out, everything safely, and update everything and whatever. But I didn't complete doing that for 2 reasons. The burning started to worsen, and the other thing is I didn't feel like completing what I wanted to do. So what happened was I changed the password and I forgot to write it down, and I didn't realise the number on my phone is not the same on the spare phone anymore. So I signed out and I realised I couldn't sign back in, so we're stuck with the latest video on that specific YouTube channel of me burning from radiation or whatever's causing the burning problem. So I still got the other channel, and obviously I'm going to make sure I don't update that, and if I do update anything like passwords or whatever, I'm going to have to make sure I'm in an environment where the burn is not occurring, because it's just cost me my channel last night. Black and blue sick, dark red, sorry. There we are. All the traffic suddenly fucking stepped up. Come to the roundabout, they step it up. They did this earlier. I'll leave it on record. The little bastards they are. Right, so initially it's Willie up and bike, motorbike. So I'm at the roundabout now. Right, so black and fucking blue, dark red. That's right, step it up. Yeah, stop me crossing Downing Street. My Willie's up, motorbike, woo, red. There we are, past the roundabout. No traffic. So I got to the other side and now there's no traffic. They're doing it on fucking purpose because they're being spiteful little bastards. Where they could set up this action, they will. Right, so it's been another 45 seconds without any traffic on that roundabout. That roundabout has suddenly gone dead. They've deliberately caused all the traffic flow to only be where I am. They've done this since the middle of November last year, trying to cause it. There's only, I can't remember how many times it is, but quite literally, there was only 70 aisles that I managed to go less than that in a shop up until January this year or something like that. Since November, and I went into loads and loads of shops where they need to time someone to come out at me, timed out of an area of wherever for that person to sneeze or cough. Between November and January 2025, that's November 2024, there wasn't a single shop I went into where someone wasn't timed to come out the doorway in both directions of going in a shop or coming out of a shop, out of every single shop I went into in that time period of mid-November to late January 2025. That's how they're controlling everyone's movement. Ever since the lockdown, they've reconstructed all this force against me to be as malice and as fucking nasty as they can fucking possibly fucking step it. Right, so going back in the summer, when I'm walking towards that roundabout, there can be no traffic. You can hear no traffic, or no more than about 5 to 10 cars in a minute, and then 45 seconds, when there's about 1 minute or 45 seconds left to reach the roundabout, you'll suddenly get about 100 vehicles. And then what happens? About 15 seconds after you've crossed over and start to walk down that other road, the roundabout will go quiet with hardly any traffic, sometimes no cars for 45 seconds. And it's happened over 3/4 of the times that I've passed that specific roundabout. So that they need to rig up, or they need to put everyone's fucking movement to cause hindrance and to cause fucking mayhem right where I am. So whether the Creator God's being a nasty bastard about it, or whether the government are rigging up everyone's movement in this corrupt fucking way, or the elite, I do not know, but I'm getting pissed off of it. It's all the time. Because they want to choke me with a catalytic converter. They want to get a message to me to say black and fucking blue white, sick white, sexual right, because they want me sexually destroyed, you see. They want me to suck the guts in and out of people that raped me as a child, and they're moaning because the baby didn't come right out of me, detaching from my body while enjoying sex being raped as a baby, as a child. And it's fucking upsetting the Creator God or the government or whoever's got this control force against me in this corrupt way. And because the baby didn't come out of me and I didn't make an entrance to heaven while being raped as a child, they're basically telling me that they're ripping me to fucking pieces and stopping me get sex all my life, and now they're taking the piss out of me of being sexually abused as a child, or cheering about it and applying that you're supposed to be with people that are not sexual, people you can't fancy, you're not supposed to have sex, you're not supposed to get an erection. And that's when the issue of the loud bike to erections started, and started getting nasty about that. Back at the time period you had the Fathers for Justice event, whatever year that was, I think it's 2008. That was when they started timing loud bikes to erections. Though there was a period in 2003 which I can't remember that clear, so I can't say, and they're doing it now for fuck's sake. Your Willie gets a sexual shooting impulse, is excited, and they need to time a loud bike. But since the lockdown, it's obviously it happened a bit before the lockdown, but not that often, they time lookalikes to people that sexually abused me as a child, times by Willie shoots up, and they're cheering about it, they find it funny. And then obviously they're cheering about money as well, they're making the suggestion that they got money apply. So if you get a van that says millions on it, it comes with a cheering van and a yeah van. So these people that are setting this up, or whether it's a creator, I don't know who's doing it, they're cheering because of high amounts of money. They want to cheer about that as well, when that's nothing to do with me, but they want to make that suggestion around me, or apply that suggestion when setting up this force against me. Last night I mentioned there was a bit of atmospheric spiritual phenomena in the graveyard, and if we go back to November of last year, when you had the dark nights, there was a very unhappy presence, and it followed me basically back to my place. Well, I'm feeling a bit chilly going down as I speak, which has only just occurred now, but there's no atmospheric pressure, but it could be temporary based in the graveyard, I don't know, but there's in the Halloween period when I noticed, and there's a few times in January actually, I think it's January, I can't remember, where I came back a bit late, and as soon as it got dark the atmosphere is bad, but tonight seems to be pretty gentle, no negative sense of problem. So it just feels like it would feel normally before this presence started to occur in, I can't remember if it was late October or November. I think it was November. No, actually it was late October, because I started doing these walks in September, because I started smoking more and I started doing spirits again and all the rest of it. So I sort of had 2 shots of vodka, but obviously because I've drunk a lot of spirits in recent times, how tipsy I was getting on 2 of those little tiny bottles of vodka and a little bottle of Jägermeister, one of those little tiny weeny ones. Those 3 would get me pretty much pissed, near enough. I can handle a lot more now because I've drunk a lot more spirits in recent times, especially on holiday. 15 shots of Sambuca in one night, and so yeah, I can handle the drink a lot more than then. However, if I didn't have spirits for say 6 months or whatever, and then I had the same amount then, you know, when I went back to my normal drinking, it would go back to like that again. You'd feel it again, but it does take time, a good 6 months if not longer. But I don't plan to continue drinking indefinitely. Obviously it's very difficult to give up. I've been drinking for many years. It's definitely going to take time. I was drinking beer every night pretty much most of my life. I used to drink Special Brew in the evenings, 9% beer, as you know, and I've drank almost every single day. It goes right back to when I started doing this, would be back in about 15 or 16, and so initially it was drinking all sorts of stuff except spirits. Well, I did have whiskey. I had my Uncle Rob's real whiskey, bits of that, but I was sort of drinking mostly cider, mixing it, and it was making me quite angry and at times, and you know, it's upset Dad in the past, you know, going back many years ago, and it's also caused me to lose my temper at times, you know, sort of. I've got control of that in you know, a lot. You know, from about the age of about from about 18 really, I started to control myself a lot more. But yeah, I've ended up smashing a milk bottle before on a gravestone, you know, at Willavington, and you know, I don't mean it, and obviously it's you know, things that you do when you're young and you can't handle your drink. But you know, I was drinking a bit. It was cider as well, so it was pretty bad. But I can tell you, there are people that have done a lot worse things than what I've done. I tell you that. I've been pretty good, to be fair. I went to Joseph's, an old school friend. I wouldn't classify him as a friend because he doesn't like me anymore, and he thinks I'm Savannah because he can't remember who I am today. And he's very fat. Well, I went to his 18th birthday in a bar, and I got just had beer, because I had downs in beer, and because I wasn't used to it, I got pissed. I ended up tipping the fucking beer on the alley, where the balls go down, and what was it, the bowling alley in the bar. I tipped it over and got a mate, and then I went into the toilet and took the light bulb out and put it down in the toilet, and then obviously they had a call and a taxi to take me back home. I was after a bit. I was very naughty, but you know, and that's the same night where I went to walk to the graveyard at Willavington, and where I smashed the milk bottle. I got absolutely pissed, even though I only had a little bit. But you got to take into account this is when I wasn't drinking much, and then literally not long after that is when I was sort of drinking cider and drinking all the time, playing Mario or playing Mario World or Donkey Kong or whatever, and sitting in my bed or whatever. Sometimes falling asleep in the afternoon after school, you know. But I've never really sort of, apart from that, I'm trying to rip one of the fence panels out after. I can't remember what happened there. Something caused me to do it. Could have been someone's died. I can't remember. That's basically all I've done. That's naughty in the whole time I've been drinking, or what I can remember. So always good to admit the naughty behaviour that drinks caused in the past, but you know, as soon as I reached the age of about 18, just over 18 or whatever, you know, I started to become more responsible. I can handle the drink even though I got pissed, and realised that you don't do that sort of thing. And there was one other time though that I got a bit agitated, but I was going through some very, very negative times, and that was 2002ish. Someone knocked a beer out of my hand and punched me in the head, and I accidentally hit Callum, which wasn't intentional. I mean, I didn't know where to hit, and because I can't remember who knocked out my hand, but being pissed, I hit him in, which obviously wasn't meant to be, but and this was at North Peverton. You had that as well, but I did apologise for all that, and explain the situation here and there to different people that had arguments with me back at that time. But all is okay, although nobody really liked me and things have never been calm, and nobody's ever liked me, so it's sort of the build up and the stress and whatever, and having to stay in because people were starting on me was making me very stressed out, and it just exploded basically. And it was also in the same time period I went to go for a walk to commit suicide, and then I saw a plane hovering following me. I ended up walking back, so I took weed killer with me to drink. I was going to drink a bottle of weed killer back in that time period, and I tried putting plastic bag over a pillow to try and commit suicide back in 2003. But I've never actually I managed to get out of that situation. Obviously the time came where I had to move on. Obviously at the time, Dad and obviously his partner, they wanted me to move on, so that you know, it's a bit like that as well. So you know, back in that time, and then obviously I was being under pressure of all the problems on the estate or whatever. I went to go to this like hospital place or whatever, and I ended up kicking the door because I lost my temper because of all it just got to my mind, and you know, I was very unhappy. But that's basically all I've done. There was a time back in Elmwood School where I was getting in trouble by someone on the school bus when I was about 11, something like that, and I ended up kicking the escort, which was a bit naughty of me. But when it comes to reports of where people are claiming that I was kicking my nan or my stepmother Esme or whatever, that's all false. I don't know how that information's come about or where it's come about, but that's not true. And then obviously 2004 I was in a mental hospital for 6 months at Beach Court in Bridgewater before it closed down. And then obviously from that sort of time period onwards I haven't really caused any trouble. Just a bit of graffiti here and there which I've been in trouble for with the police, and that's it. So, and then nowadays I don't really cause any trouble at all. I do nothing. I used to shout back now and again at threats, but I thought I'd mention this, although it was a bit negative, you know, just admitting some of the you know, retaliations or what drink's done in the past. But when it comes to, apart from the escort on the bus when I was 11 years of age at the Elmwood School, when I was being bullied by another person on there called Michael, who was older than me, take that away, I've never hurt my nan, I've never hurt Esme, so I don't know where that's come about. And also the sexual stuff as well, although this is not connected to what I'm saying, none of that's true either. So when it comes to like being in a sexual relationship or claims that I raped Stephanie or whatever, that's false. The same with Amy Weston, because I've never been with Amy. I've never molested Sadie, Ian, what other names are there? I can't think actually, but all of it's false. Right, so we come to this time where it's basically time to drink now, so like I said, I drink at a different time. I mean, going back to 2003, 2002, it started to change a little bit when I moved to West Street, because I started drinking about an hour later, so it's like 7:30, 8:30. And there were times where I went to the chip shop and I didn't have enough money to buy what I wanted to buy, only £1 on me or whatever. And I was taking risks because Bridgewater was very rough, but I was sort of getting pissed. Drinking, trying to go into Stella, weaker drink, and just go back onto the special brew. But, and then I started staying in, stopped go doing these night walks, and there was one specific evening where I went out, and I was playing a track, which is on Dance Trance Top Buzz. I don't listen to this sort of music anymore, really, to be fair. It's on Dance Trance, the wedding anniversary Top Buzz. It's called New Jack Pimp's Water Jelly, the unreleased mix, which is basically on Dance Trance Top Buzz, the wedding anniversary, the 25th of the 6th, 1994 mixtape. It has a set of lyrics that's similar to like this. It goes, take a look at the end, or something like that, and then it says, it's all in your eyes, it's all in your eyes, baby, it's all in your eyes, it's all. Then it goes, just, I thought you get, but you can't keep up. Then it says something like, funny, or money, and it goes, what's it say after that? I'm from Somerset, or something like that. And as I was playing that, I walked into my ex-mugger, Dan Morgan, who's getting ready to attack me at Sainsbury's. And then that's one of the times where I stopped going out in the evenings at Bridgewater. Nothing happened, but it got very close. And on one other occasion, I was playing Spirits from an Urban Jungle, White Lightning, which is a jungle record in the style of jungle I listen to. It's slightly less underground, but it has been. It is one of those tracks, you know, it's a very good track. I have bought it on record, but when I did buy it on record to take it off, the hole wasn't printed in the right place on the record, and I was getting like every time the record went around, and in the end I gave up on it and I couldn't take it back because I didn't know how to explain the problem. And obviously all the records I've taken off in the past I don't have anyway, because they were put on orange M-Tech sticks and they all broke. And when I redid some of the tracks before I gave them to a friend on Facebook who no longer speaks to me, because we fell out 10 years ago now. Yeah, it's 2015, so yeah. So we fell out 10 years ago. Partly my doing, because obviously I was joking on the reptilian hybrid issue, and he didn't like it. So my fault in some ways. But through time, obviously, and energy weapons, and I have lost all the, when it comes to the illegal mixes, like the illegal rave mixes or whatever, I don't have anything. Dance Trance Randall Mission Control, but I only have a poor copy of it. It's better than nothing. And it's a downloaded version, so it's a bit tingy as well, but you know, it's better than nothing. When it comes to my music, it's better to have that than nothing at all. I'm not actually sure I actually have that anymore, because the Music Electronica series, the 3-disc series I did, we've had issues there where what's causing this burning problem at home seems to be wiping off information from USB sticks, hard drives and stuff like that, and this is a nightmare. It really is. Right, so there seems to be a bit of more of an atmosphere occurring now in this graveyard. Yes, there is something there, but it's not as intense as what it has been. And it's just turned 9 o'clock. Time for my drink. I don't know what that is. I've always found the Barrack walk to actually be enjoyable walks, but the time before I went to my mum's, which is just a day or two before I went to my mum's, yesterday And today, where I've come back again, I found this to be the 3 most boring, tedious or unatmospheric barrack walks I've ever done. There just seems to be nothing to it. I mean, even in 24, you know, it feels like, oh, there's nothing to it, or it feels drab, or it doesn't feel, it's got no atmosphere to it, or it just feels, but it's taken on like a new look, whereas, well, it just feels plain, like it's uninteresting, completely. It's not like it used to be. So, yeah, I've noticed that. Just a totally different atmosphere altogether. But we go back to 2022 when I first come up here. Everything felt good. It felt mystical, even though you had the sun, but you did have a lot of cloud mind. But it's mostly rainstorms of that year, 2022. But 2023, it just started to feel down. But you still had times where it felt okay, and you had the evening walks of November, late summer to November or whatever it was last year. But this year, it just feels plain, like there's nothing to it. Not even a bit of atmosphere. It just seems, maybe I need to try something different area, different place. The places that tire out, and I didn't think this would be one that tires out, but it does appear to be. However, it's still good to walk it. It might be uninteresting or boring, but it's definitely better than walking wherever else, where it feels suppressing or built up all the time, where you've got people starting on you. I never got bored of the canal though, and I did that for many years before I moved from Bridgewater. I was walking up to my dad's in the time, went back in the days when he was living at Pevy. So I never got bored of it. The only suppressing side that I had, or the only downfall, was actually walking back. But then again, I didn't really get much trouble walking back. I was just in a lucky area. I was just lucky to avoid most of the nasty people. There was only one occasion where someone got a brick to smash me across the head because he was losing his temper with me at 4 o'clock in the morning, which went through someone's window, and obviously I had to avoid looking at him because he was all there in the head, and I was sort of shitting myself. And then obviously once he passed, I walked away and walked on. One thing that annoyed me going back 2006 area was I was pushed in the canal by some youths, and I found out later on that there's a dead body in the canal, and you had the underwater search team in the canal one day after I was pushed in that canal, which wasn't great. Another occasion was someone on a bike went to smash me and ended up punching the brick wall under the bridge. As he went to punch me, full pelt I was on his bike because he took a fucking hard swing at me. He ended up pushing himself and his bike into the canal, and as it was falling in the canal, I gave it a little helping hand because I knew what he was doing. He was trying to smash me to pieces, and he started shouting and all the rest of it. And a couple of days later, or a day, or whenever it was, the police come around and start on me, try to arrest me for something different. Yeah, so what he did is he actually stopped the bike. And then he got nasty. He went to get his fist, he went to throw a pit punch at me and all the rest of it. Then he smashed it into the wall as I moved, and the punch was so hard that he pushed himself and his bike into the water, and then he nearly got balance again, so I made sure it went in. Didn't do it nastily, I did it because I knew he was trying to attack me, and then I had to run out the area because I knew he was trying to attack me. And yeah, but under normal circumstances I wouldn't have done that. However, he did manage to get that bike out and he got himself out because he had his pit bull terrier dog as well. And then he started shouting and screaming as he was cycling towards me. When he got out of the car, I got it out quite quickly, and I don't know how he managed it, but he looked like he was quite a tough guy, so he could just, you know, fling it over or whatever. And yeah, I was not very happy about that. So I did that for my own safety. So I didn't do it because I wanted to. I did it for my safety, but I didn't. It wasn't really me that actually pushed it, because he was falling in anyway. But I just wanted to guarantee it so that I could get through, so I could get out of the way fucking fast, because I knew he's not a safe person. Otherwise, that's that on that part. Right, so to sexual impulses in my penis, loud bike. They're not going to stop it. I was going to mention 2003 as that specific year, because I've always thought that the loud bike to erection was always occurring from about 2008ish onwards, or when the Fathers for Justice event was, you know, when the scaffolding was around the Houses of Parliament. That time period is when I noticed it, but I keep on thinking as that period of 2003. I'm not sure if it occurred in 2003, because there's just something I remember, and I don't know what it is, and I thought it was some issue with a bike, but the loud bike's occurring. But if it did, it didn't click enough to realise what could have been, because there's just a lot of loud bikes in general. It wasn't set up bad as so tight. I don't know. I just seem to remember something. I can't remember what it was, but it's to do with a bike, and I just have that suspicion it could be connected to erections. But I didn't take much notice of this specific setup at that time, so I can't really say. I want to talk about sexuality, going back in the days when all my enemies went with sexual people. When I hit the age of 25, believe it or not, all my enemies told me in threats, saying, haha, we fucked it up for you getting a sexual teenager. Haha, we made everyone a single parent. Or saying, we've fucking made everyone stale. You've got to go with a stale piece of shit. That's what you get, you fucking sicko. And saying stuff like that. As soon as I hit the age of 30, they said the same. You're not going to get a teenager, an 18-year-old now. We fucked your life up. That's your first what you get, because you're fucking sick and had Stephanie or whatever, when that's not true. What happens after that time? People moan about your age, and I've got your people older than the age Jesus Christ was when he was crucified, telling me I'm a sick bastard if I fancy people that age, and I've still not had anyone at the age of 43 coming up 44. So it does make you wonder if Christ has fallen. Right, so I've been out about 3 hours, and I just want to update you on how the burning is. So I don't like work anymore. That's right. Gonna put traffic in my direction. I'll go fucking back to the graveyard, Downing Street. Create God, you fucking buckled cunt. Yes, man, Willie's very high. It's a bike, Christ, okay? I'm gonna try and leave the graveyard again. Right, so the burning about as bad as let's take into account 2 months. This is what it was like, say, before Christmas, when the burning was occurring, because obviously it's been increased. That's right, wait until I get to the fucking road down the street. Yes, there's a catalytic converter. Woo, catalyst, Christ. It's gas, Christ, gas. You spastic cunt. God doesn't want me to fucking get a say on this. I'll mention it in a bit. Under normal circumstances, I could take the setups a bit more easier, but when you've got a flu or a chest infection where you can't breathe or smell anything, and they're trying to get all the catalytic converters for me to breathe in all the catalyst fumes so that I smell like a catalytic converter. They do it on every single flu, and they're doing it's caused fucking trouble. That's what they do it. They do it every time I got a flu. There's never been a time where I haven't had a cold or flu, where they piss about with vehicles with a catalytic converter on it. They do it all the time. Apart from this flu, or chest infection, whatever it is, and the chest infection I had where I was stuck indoors, every flu I've had since the lockdown, they've timed people to have arguments with me to smash me out, and I'm not able to smash that person out while I'm feeling like I'm struggling to stand up with the flu. But they need to do that because they don't want to cause as much trouble and mayhem as they can possibly do. Right, so I'd probably say the burning, it's been over 3 hours, so I'd say the burning's about as bad as how would I put it, about the average. If we go back to last year, before the burning increased in January, I feel about, you know, it's gone through stages, you see. It was extremely bad between February, where I'd stayed at my dad's, until April, and then it went on for a little bit longer where I was in pain. Then there was a night I had to camp out because of it, I think, and then it started to ease for 6 months, but it was still there. It wasn't gone completely, but I wouldn't say eased as such. It was there because it was still happening bad at times, but it was like a persistent flow that's persistently occurring, but at times the power could be more changeable. But then it started getting bad on a Sunday, so that'd be a better way to describe it. A bad Sunday, say in November 2024, where we had to put up with burning all day, and you've decided that you're going outside to walk around a communal garden to get some fresh air. I guess I feel roughly a bit like that, maybe just a touch worse, because obviously that burning's a lot worse now, so it lasts longer. It doesn't go when it's sort of, when it goes into you, it's not leaving the body as quickly as what it used to. But then again, it was like this back in February to April of 2024. So I mean, I'm not going to stay out to a level where where I can say that it's not too bad, 'cause I need to get back, you see. Obviously when I get back it's going to happen again. It shouldn't be happening. However, I have stated all this on the internet because I'm getting pissed off of it. I mean, this is not just causing burning, this seems to be heating up batteries as well. I wouldn't say it's taking the batteries down, so the batteries have still got power in them, they're still full or whatever. But when this burning's occurring and it's really bad, there's not just 1 or 2 batteries, it's actually heating up all the batteries so that the batteries are warm. I wouldn't say they're hot to the point where they're exploding, but it has affected some PP9 batteries, or what used to be named PP3 or P3 or something like that. Those little tiny 9-volt batteries with 2 terminals on the top. I took one to the staff office, one nearly exploded because it got so hot and there's on the carpet in my bedroom. And also, going back to April last year, you had the MP3 player that exploded on the kitchen floor when the burning was occurring. I've had to put all those MP3 players, or the new ones that I've bought, in a more safer place for now, because this burning has got a lot worse. I've also had to put all the batteries off of the floor onto the cupboard, because I don't want the place catching fire because someone's pissing about using energy weapons, causing burning that could set the place alight. If we go back to, just before November of 2024, when I was doing these walks to eliminate the burning problem at home, and I was mentioning the type of symptoms I'm getting and whatever, Holly Court did actually start believing that some of these symptoms are not schizophrenia, but unfortunately through time they went back to this issue of thinking it is schizophrenia, or saying that that sort of thing. And then obviously when I said I was going out at 6 in the morning because I was being kept up or woken up because of this burning problem, when we went back to, because since 1 a.m. on January the 1st 2025, that burning problem has got a lot worse. Itchy feet, intense burning. I don't know what's causing it, you see. Initially I was accusing a specific neighbour, but the problem is, I don't want to have to say this, but this burning does actually occur when that specific neighbour goes out. However, it could be another neighbour that's doing it, that's hearing this neighbour that's going out. But whatever's causing it, I have spoken to this person to say that it's causing me to feel really ill, but but he just says it's schizophrenia. He says it's the way your mind thinks when you're at that place, at home. But if we go back to the early days, when we weren't getting on as well, because before the burning problem, the neighbours were getting a lot more choppy or a lot more unhappy. As soon as this burning problem started, all the neighbours seemed to be happy all the time, I've noticed. So, but in the early days I sort of moaned and sort of laughing, or can't control laugh, when I was mentioning the burning problem to whoever. And then obviously, there's nothing you can do about it. But I'm getting fucked off with this weather, I tell you that. It's very irritating. That's what's making it cold. There's like wind chills and all that. So the temperature outside is like only about 5 degrees. And then you've got all this windy weather. That's what I was doing it yesterday. I was used to it on the beach, mind. But I could take the temperature, it's gradual. But you've got to take into account I've been in a warm place of about 20 to 24 degrees for the last 2 weeks. And that 2 weeks your body's adjusted to a warmer climate. And you also got to take into account we've been through like a heat wave as well in that time period. And obviously the body's not adjusting to the colder temperatures, though it is usually quite rare that you get windy weather mixed with cold temperatures. For many years, it's usually, if you get a crispy ice cold night or whatever, there's a clear night with no breeze or gentle breeze if that. So it's usually like that. But in recent, especially this year and parts of last year, no, actually I don't know, might have just been this year, I can't remember. I think no, there was some last year. You've had more sort of dusty weather mixed with cold temperatures. I will mention something. This is something I've not mentioned for a while. Back in 2022, on the earliest time period when I was taking this route, when I found a new route to get here without going through Nine Springs, which was the regular route that I used to take to get here. There was actually a lady, only aged about 22. I can't remember what she said now. It was some suggestion, there's a smile or something to apply if I was single, or trying to edge me on to see if I was single. Now, this lady looked pretty much identical to the YouTube user Kirsty Burke, spelled B-U-R-K-E. Now, she does a video questioning religion and all that sort of stuff when it comes to Christianity. She's an ex-Christian. Well, although I saw this lady at the time, obviously she's medium build, fattish build, but she had a really smooth, sexy type body, if you get what I'm saying. Bloody hell. Yeah, it's difficult walking down here. Anyway, when I saw her later on in 2023, that's when, because people have been shit stirring, claiming Ninth Event has turned her against me, and I think it's the same year later, 23, where she told me I'm a sicko. I'm not trying to think if it could have been further back, because she's a single mother now with a boyfriend that also was giving me trouble. I can't remember. Either way, that's what's happened, and she looked almost identical to Kirsty Burke, the YouTube video user in America, I think it is. It's a site I've not mentioned for a while, and I thought I'd re-mention it. It's also, I want to mention something else, since I had a funny phone call as well, going back to 2023, and it was also up here, and there's an argument in the background saying he's a fucking old age pensioner, you know, because I was talking when they were asking a question, and obviously they put the phone down, irrelevant information that was being asked, and I realised that obviously I changed my number, but because I had credit on it, I had a clairvoyant reading. Now, I don't have clairvoyant readings anymore because they're a waste of money and they've been wrong. There's a few things they got right, but I think a lot of it is just working with your mind, guesswork, and if they are getting information from spirits, they're getting them from spirits that are not very formative, or it could be demons that are lying, if that's the way you want to put it. Now, obviously, I've been speaking to Mum about this, and she doesn't trust clairvoyance or anything like that anymore either, because she's into just fairies at the moment. So everything like fairies. So if it's tarot cards, it's fairy tarot cards. It's not going to be anything like, you know, different cards. She prefers to be like, you know, with the different realm rather than the negative realm of Ouija boards, or, you know, communication through negative spirits. Being in the fairy world, or connections with is a much more you know, got elves and fairies, you know, it's more of a positive spirit being rather than the demons or the false angels or whatever. And I'm just getting myself into that myself, because I do like the look of you know, I do like well, I'm going to read up a bit more on it, but yes I do like fairies and elves. So, but it's something I never really, you know, studied or took to really. But yes, after going down Mum's for holiday, I think, yeah, I do like the idea of the spirit realm, because I did have one of those little doors, like fairy realm doors, and you think to yourself, That's to let spirits in and out, but fairies. So, you know, it's good. The problem is, when it comes to clairvoyance, they're claiming that they're giving you readings from dead people. A lot of this seems to be manifestation of demonic entities. Don't tell me it's bloody raining. You know, demons, and demons are no good, you see. You need something that's a bit more positive. You know. This weather pattern today is annoying me a little bit. It seems to be windy and cold. Like you're next to a freezing cold beach. Usually, when you get cold temperatures, it's not so windy. It usually warms up when you get sort of windy weather and cold, windy weather and, you know, whatever. Obviously, in foreign countries, obviously you get ice storms or whatever, but in the UK, usually when it's windy, I mean, it might be different for different parts of the country, but through experience or where I've lived, you tend to find a lot of these sort of windy days are usually is when the weather warms up a little bit, and then we get these crisp cold nights. There's usually no breeze, gentle breeze if at all, you know. It's like that. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Right, so this part of the path that I'm walking now, even this part of the path had some sort of maybe it's because I haven't got headphones on and I was listening to music. I used to do that, but a lot of stuff I used to listen to when I was doing these walks wasn't actually the old school jungle stuff as such. It's just that dark, creepy, airy, moody, deep stuff from Cryo Chamber Records, which is like dark ambient. But I have listened to Headphones Mind, though it doesn't seem to be as I've got to face that road in a bit, so I hope it's not busy, because last night it wasn't, but tonight it does seem to be. What is the time? So I'm a quarter of an hour earlier than I was yesterday. There used to be a time where you could walk the full path of this, but I can't do it anymore. I was saying just, what, 3 weeks ago was it? No. Yeah, just under 3 weeks ago, before I went on holiday to Mum's, I was saying on the recorder, I was saying, by about September of this year, that path's going to have eroded away. You know, I'm not going to be able to do it without going on that busy road. Where the time's come now, unfortunately, so I guess there's a way around it, but it'd be very difficult, very awkward, and you'd probably end up tripping, and I would have been slipping and almost hurting myself trying to do this. And something else I want to mention, I've never camped out in temperatures this cold that's this windy at the same time. There's a possibility that the temperatures might have been this cold, but if they were, I had a tarpaulin sheet over the tent, and it would have been a Burnham-on-Sea when I was camping when it was that cold. Yes, it's partly due to a chest infection or flu. Right, so Right, so I've made it to the road. There is another way a bit further down, but the problem is it's more difficult to get down, and obviously the paths are eroded away, so all walks I do up here now are going to have to take this fucking road, and obviously you know there's going to be traffic. At least the part I'm on is mostly straight, with a few bends, but the section that the bad part is the bridge area and all that, and you know, but there's not much option anymore. You know, that's the way it is. I might leave this on record until I get back, actually. I'll just mention a few bits and pieces. Because quite often there's setups when I go back. We go back at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning in the past. They still got it rigged up as heavy as what they have in the middle of the day. They're not going to stop it. They're very nasty people, these people are doing it. Unless the creative God's doing it, of course. Whatever's causing it, if it is being programmed, have known advanced technology, which is called noetic science, is where they program your movement using noetic science technology, where they were doing this in the 70s. They're warping tapes at speed. They use a computer. I'm not sure how to do it, but they can have they have a technology of knowing in advance before it happens. But if they have a technology to know in advance before it happens, then obviously they know what's true and what's not true when it comes to these sexual fucking allegations or whatever, or these setups or whatever, or what I know what to do. You've got to have no in advance technology to program this movement control around me. And this is why they're trying to hit me off, because I've mentioned that they got no in advance technology, and they've tried killing me in the past, especially since the lockdown. I will say one thing: the road is easier to walk than the woodland and to the top of the field and down the field, because you get bulls and cows, and that's another irritating thing. And quite often when the grass is wet, you nearly slip into like packs, you know, the cow shit or whatever. The only downfall is the busy traffic. And it's a bit busier than what it was yesterday. However, I have no this time in the evening. They predicted a sunny day tomorrow, so I'm not looking forward to what the plans are tomorrow, what I'm doing. I mean, I didn't mind the sunny weather when I was on holiday. It gives a different... there's one place that I visited where there's a load of windmills, and that requires clouds, so I was a bit annoyed by that. But however, because it's a memory of the holiday, then obviously you have to take into account, you know, it's something you'll remember, so I kept the pictures on that. obviously I have to breathe in a catalytic converter. Although I can't smell it because I've got a chest infection or a flu, they want me to smell like a catalyst. So let my chest inhale a little, and that's why I'm not very happy. And they step it up, and they've got to notice they're spacing the cars out so the catalytic converter smell is about, so that there's time for that to be there, and then get the next car to control it in that way, to keep the smell going, because they're nasty bastards who are setting it up. That car nearly went into me, you little bastard. There we are, as I was mentioning. Oh, two, they need two, do they? So 4 seconds. Black sexual. No, it's not, hang on. No, it's normal sexual. Wheelie up. So, bike angled around me, round the corner. Wind direction at me. So catalytic converter setup, obviously the creator's buckled. Jehovah, Yahweh, Allah. a cruelty fucking tearaway, you ice axing bastard, fire staking cunt, and obviously putting a few, I wouldn't say rough people, but people that are serious my way, so nothing you can do about it. The creator's buckled, the bastard's hell-bent, the bastard's fallen. Right, so it's loud bikes to erections back home, and the burning. More bikes to erections pissing, and more to erections after.